Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Figuring It Out. This is the place where we're having conversations that are going to set you up to win. Figuring It Out is all about personal development that has a foundation of faith attached to it. And so every conversation that we have here is not going to leave you the same. Today, I have a beautiful guest. She's a big sister of mine, and she has been raising 2 children in the diaspora. And I thought, let me pull her in this month where we get to celebrate Mother's Day. Let me pull her in and let's have a conversation about how we raise our kids and also unpack any issues or concerns or challenges that we see as far as raising these children in the diaspora is concerned. So join me with my big sister Lydia to have this conversation. First of all, thank you so much for joining me, and I will let you introduce yourself to my audience so they can get to know you a little bit better, and then we can dig in. Over to you, Lydia.
All right. My name is Lydia Katabazi. I live in the United States, but I was born and raised in Uganda. Aggie is my little sister, my little baby sister. So I hope I'm looking forward to talking to you today.
Thank you, Lydia. I love how modest you are being, but we will leave it at that. Today, we're going to be talking about, and I still can't get over the fact that you guys still call me baby sister, although I turned 40.
You will always be our baby sister, even if you're 100 and I'm long dead.
So today, talking about baby sisters, today we're talking about children and what it's like to raise them in the diaspora. Lydia has mentioned that she's based in the States. She's a mom of 2 great boys and a mom to the rest of us, her baby sisters. And I wanted to pick your brain, Lydia, about what it's like to raise kids in the diaspora. Also, especially since you have that comparison of having been born and raised in our beautiful country, Uganda, and you know what it's like to raise kids there, primarily by observation. So you can somehow give us that contrast. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, first of all, if there is a parent out there who says they know how to raise a child the moment they are born, please give me your name, your number. I would like to reach out to you. Nobody's ever prepared to be a parent. Being a parent for children is very dynamic. It's never constant. You can't pin it down. One style doesn't fit all. Raising one child is never the same as raising the next one, even if they are both yours or you have 10. The difference between raising them here and compared to how I was raised, and I can only speak from the vantage point of how I was raised in Uganda, because I didn't raise any child in Uganda. The difference is in Uganda, of course, you have a lot of support. You have backup, you have, then though, that was then when we were growing up, you and I. What is happening now, I think it's totally different. The place is changing dramatically. But even then, you still have support of family. Even if you don't have grandparents and as your support system, you have aunties. We have come from big families. We're not like American families. When they say in a family, it's a mother, a father, and the children, and maybe grandparents. And if you want to stretch it, maybe uncles, 2 uncles, that's it. In Africa, you have a village, literally. I never understood what that meant until I moved here and realized how small these families are. But in Africa, there's so many. There's cousins and aunties and uncles, and you never have a pair of just 2 grandparents. You have like 8. It's just a community. You can never be stuck. There's always somebody to raise a child, to help you, to support you. In the United States, you're on your own. It's you, if you're married, it's you and your husband. And there's a lot of activity. So there's different challenges depending on where you are. But even here, you raise them, but you don't have a support system. And then you're raising children who are also, different personalities. How you raise one or how you approach one is not going to be how you approach the other one. I have one quiet boy and one, they call him the mayor. Let's put it that way. He's been a mayor since he was born. So yeah, the circumstances are different, the environments are different, the support systems are different, and I'm sure, and being in the United States is also not the same. The way you raise them in certain parts of the country, they'll turn out different from other parts of the country. Like the kids raised on the East Coast or West Coast are so much influenced by culture and stuff. But if they are raised down in the South, which is the Texases and the Carolinas and Alabamas, they're more, polite and humble and so on and so forth. So yeah, it varies. It really does.
Wow. Wow. You talked about how raising one child is completely different from raising the next. Are there any specific examples you can give us in terms of the context in which you're raising them as relates to their different personalities? Are there some challenges that you have faced that you felt like, if I had been doing this back home, I think it would have been different?
See, the thing is, myself, I don't think that way. I really don't. I never think of what if, what could, what. No, I don't have room for that. I don't have uh, the luxury of thinking that way. I live in the now. This is what I have, the problem I have. How am I going to deal with it? You will have a child, for example. One of my boys is extremely athletic. The other one could not be bothered. But he is very scientific, very creative as well. While the other one could care less turning on a computer. So now you're going to think, what do you focus? What will you have the first one focus on and the other one focus on? So, whereas when you get the first one is, let's say, sporty, you're going to all these events, taking them to sports games and meets, and but you can't force the next one. So in your brain as a mother, you're like, oh, maybe exhibit number two will also be doing the same. No, exhibit number two is on a different agenda. The thing is, you don't even recognize it until you run into it. That makes sense. So then you realize, wait, he doesn't like soccer. So what does he like? So one of my boys is into physical athletics. Then the other one is in what I call eclectic athletics. Think of a black boy who likes skiing, tennis, rowing, crew. Um, and then the other one doesn't like it. So you gotta keep, it's like a dynamic, it keeps evolving. What do you focus on? And this doesn't stop, Aggie. This goes on, and as they hit high school, you're seeing it, as they hit colleges, and then you start seeing their lives as they grow older diverge, or no, I wouldn't say diverge, kind of emerge into their own people. Your job as a mother is to just support them along the way. That's the only way I know how. Nobody tells you how these things pan out, or being a parent and a mother doesn't come with a manual. You really have to figure it out as you go along. And I think
Yeah.
so. Kudos to all the mothers. Which, by the way, this is a weekend, a Mother's Day weekend. So,
Yeah.
hand down
Yeah.
for them
That's true.
in the United States.
That's true. Yeah. Here as well. Here
Yeah.
as well. Yeah. So, talking about the fact that there's not so much of a support system,
Mm-hmm.
and May is also the month that is focusing on mental well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for mothers especially, and also especially those in the diaspora that don't have that much support as compared to back home, I think there are challenges where you feel like, I'm so exhausted, but then you still have to keep going.
Mental well-being in the world it's become a very rampant issue. I don't think it's rampant. I think the difference is it's being recognized more now, especially since COVID. There's so much awareness of, I gotta take a break. Whereas before, mothers would go on and on and on, and you wouldn't realize, let me stop and take a break. Um, and I'm beginning to recognize that. But sometimes mothers don't even have the luxury of stopping to take a break. There's no window, there's no room. It doesn't matter whether in Africa or here. As I said, Africa is changing. The way we are mothers now is so much different from the way our mothers were. Our mothers had a lot of support. Um, but you listen to yourself, you listen to your well-being, you listen to your children. Especially from myself, I use the three strikes, as I call it. If a child tells me the same thing more than three, by the third time, then I recognize this is not, there is an issue here maybe that I need to address. But you have to also constantly realize kids are smart, Aggie. They can see through you, and they will try to come up with all sorts of excuses. Especially currently, they are aware about this mental health issue. Some of them take advantage of it. Um, but I think it's a serious issue. It really is, especially among teenagers and young adults, even big adults. So it's a very complicated issue. I wouldn't even know what to tell you because I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but it can be real.
Are there moments when your boys have come back from school and highlighted something which you felt like this is so unique to the diaspora?
Uh, let's see. I can't even think of that right now. I will tell you, my boys. Initially, I had thought they would go in public school, but they've been going to Catholic school. I think that has been very, very helpful. They all wear the same. There's they go to school with kids who have too much and those who have way less, but there's never a moment of wealth differences, which has been extremely helpful to them. So I think that has helped. There's not a lot of bullying, a lot of teasing. They've also become confident, so they know how to tell the telltale signs of when to walk away. I've always told them, if it becomes too hard, walk away. Especially if it becomes too confrontational, just walk away, make peace. Don't try to fight it. You'll always have fights in the world. I mean, today it's racism, tomorrow is something else. What are you going to do? Making peace at everybody now? You have to figure out a way to make peace and move on. There's no need to fight. So I've always taught them to take the peaceful stand, if that makes sense. Only when it becomes extreme, then uh, um, I kind of interrupt for them. I deal with it. There's a word I'm looking for um, that I can't come to my brain right now. But that's when I step up and try to support them. And yeah, there've been some instances where I have said, "Enough is enough. Now let's deal with this." So yeah, and I've also taught them that they'll probably always see racism, but this is another but. The thing is, you have to keep seeing things and the world through their eyes, right?
Yeah.
Because the racism that was then during our parents' time, when my father used to go to Europe to school and stuff, and he would come back and tell us, "I never leave out there." When I came to the United States, when I was coming to the United States, I remember him saying, "You're gonna see things that you've never seen before." I came to class, and I remember the first time um, having projects. The class they divided. I was the only black kid in the class. I was more like a lone graduate. Excuse the planes. I don't know why there's so many planes here. But I remember being isolated and nobody wanted to pick me until the teacher forced the last person to be with me. We were equally 20, I think. She picked, forced the last person to be with me to be my partner in the project. But complete, total rejection. Like, just you don't even, nobody wants to associate with you. But in hindsight, I don't think it's because I was black. I think it's because I didn't know how to associate with these kids. Um, Then when they found out I was not so dumb, I'll put it that way. I don't want to use the word smart. Boy, did I get friends. Um, and it's kind of started changing, and even I started learning the society and how it works. And in hindsight, even I would have probably rejected myself. So I don't think it was racism per se. I just think I was not relatable. Uh, so I've taught all these things to my children. But fast forward, the generation is totally different. Absolutely. And I've learned not to impose what racism we have been hearing about as we grew up on them. They will
Yeah.
figure it out their way. They really
Yeah.
will. They have to. And it's becoming way. So imagine our fathers dealt with it, the extreme kind. I'd call it gold. We experienced it at maybe silver. My kids are probably going to experience it at bronze. It's because I see the way they relate to each other. And I mean, Asian, black, all kinds of diversities. The way they look at it is different. And when I try to tell it to them my way, they're like, "Mommy, your times are different." And this is when I listen.
Yeah.
Remember, I told you have to listen to your children? And I'm like, oh my God, they're right. Because my dad also used to think Michael Jackson was so perverted, or because he dressed into short trousers. Like, that wasn't a big deal in hindsight now. So what I see as a big deal will not be a big deal to them. The issue is to recognize it and know how to evolve in their world. And that's critical, and it can be mistake. It can be a mistake, and if we miss it, sometimes we miscommunicate with our children. Yeah.
Is it important to you for them to identify as African or to
No,
have this connection to their
no,
roots? Is it important to you?
no, not at all. It's important to me that they are good, they are kind, and they treat everybody as a human being, irrespective of who they are, where they come from. That is what is critical. And I'll tell you why. The times have changed. The times have changed. They will never forget the Africanness, and I've taught them how to like that. I mean, we hang with all our people all the time, but Africans or black people are mean to black people. So what's the point? You understand? Like, I don't get that. Stick to your own, stick to your roots. Well, I stick to people who are good. Period. Doesn't
Period.
matter
Yeah.
what color you come in. How doesn't matter what color goodness is. Are you good to me? Are you kind to me? That's enough. Are
Yeah.
you tolerant of me? I've gone to some functions of our people and been like, oh my goodness, I need to go home now. But of course, most
Mm.
of them are so much fun. I'll have to say that. You cannot treat people in factions alone. At the end of the day, is are you good to me? Am I good to you? Let's go play soccer. Let's have a coffee. That's enough for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And if they can do that, and which I think they can, girl, I'm good. I don't care whether they flip burgers or they are rocket scientists. That to me is enough.
I share that sentiment as well. I
Hmm.
really do.
I'm
Yeah.
glad. But it
Yeah.
took me a long time to come to that realization. Bear in mind, I'm coming from Africa. As they always, when I got here, my coworkers were like Ugandans, because they would read so much about Uganda. They're like, we're social conservatives. And I never thought of it that way until I started seeing how I see the world. I was like, oh my God, they are right. Like, I had to stand out to look at me in the me. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
I had to stand out to realize I am actually a social conservatist. Is that a good thing or not a good thing? I don't know. You be the judge. I'll tell you something. Our social conservatism was holding me back from being a complete person, if that makes sense, from being a complete good person. That's how I can put that. Yep.
Expound on that a little bit.
Um, the things I always thought were wrong until I realized who cares if they're wrong or right? It's their thing. You understand?
Yeah.
They let me be me. Who am I to judge them for who they are, what they do? Again, if you're good to me, be kind. That's enough. Um, so yeah, that's where I'm coming from. And to me, in the eyes of God, that's just enough. He said, love one another as I have loved you. That's his
Yeah.
biggest command. And that's enough. That was his ultimate. So let him be the judge of so many things, not me. Um, yeah.
Wow. That must have been very transformational. Now I'm thinking about how to step out of myself and observe me being me.
Yeah. It doesn't come overnight. It's a series, takes it's a recognition of your own self. If you're honest to yourself, and also if you keep your mind open, I love God. I pray to God all the time to always show you the light. That's what I think. Show me the light, because if you can be stuck in so many of your traditions and values, not realizing that you're actually hurting people around you.
Hmm.
That's not cool. That's so not cool. Um, unless you're not a murderer. The rest I think I can take. A
Yeah.
murderer, even a murderer is forgivable, right? Even thieves, God did forgive them. So you dig deep. God throws you. Life has challenges. Just when you think you've learned them, it throws you a curveball, and then you have to step back and think, how do I deal with this? Can
Yeah.
either take it south or uh, um, take it north. You know,
Yeah.
the choice is yours. You know what? At the end of the day, Aggie, it comes down to a choice and a personal choice. You gotta figure. You gotta have to. Do you stay loyal to your ways, your traditional, good, great values? By the way, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You stay true to those, oblivious of what is happening around you and the changes that are coming with the world? Or do you have a way of merging both? It's a constant ask, a constant evolving question in my head. How do I make every day better for me and for all those around me? And if I can do that every day, a day builds up to 2 days, to a week, to a month, and before you know it, you're doing good in your own world around you for people you don't even understand or know, to
Yeah.
strangers. And in your very small way, you're probably changing the world without even you knowing you are.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's really, really deep. At this point, I will recommend to my audience a book called The Bait of Satan. And it's basically just about offense and how we deal with it, and forgiveness, and how to be a loving and good human being
Mm.
through and through. I think it's a very, very beautiful book, and I'm using every opportunity I get uh, to push it out there, because, like you said, sometimes we are so attached to our
Ways.
our ways that we go around hurting people, and we're totally oblivious of the fact that
Mhm.
we're
Yeah.
creating a lot of deep hurt. Yeah, yeah,
Pain, yes.
yeah.
And if you're causing pain, you wonder, how is your value a value?
Hmm.
Think about that. How does a value cause pain? Maybe something is off.
Yeah.
And to me, that's where I come from. If something is, and you know, my boys, having grown up the way we did, and the way they analyze, they're so analytical. And not just my boys. I mean, I have my friends' boys. I do have boys at most of the time around me, but when they open up, I think recently we had a dinner, and I had about 5, 6 teenagers seated on the table, ranging from 13 to 16 at the time. Aggie, I was the only female there. Their mom, their aunt, some of them were extremely quiet, very reserved. But when I talked to them and they opened up and they saw things from their world, I was like, wow, that children are the ones who are teaching me how to be a better person and how to be an adult in their world. In their world. And trying not to separate those two might be, to me, might be a little beginning of understanding their mental health. You gotta understand their what. And you know how I didn't say, oh, you come and sit, let's start talking about men. No, 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 no. They opened up and we were laughing, and I was like, wow. They were telling me things they've done. Some of these things, they're not so bad things, but as a mother, I was like, I told them, you did that? And then we'll start laughing about it. They're like, yes, auntie. I'm like, seriously? I'll tell you one time, I hope they don't kill me when they see this video one time. I had about four boys. Oh God, they wanted McDonald's in the middle of the night on DoorDash. Remember, we didn't grow up with DoorDash.
Yeah.
My boys' bedrooms are upstairs, so they're kind of isolated from us. But I also have a basement. We have a basement now. The basement has a door. We have a camera somewhere near the house. I won't say where in case someone wants to visit me. So these boys wanted to order McDonald's after midnight. We were in bed. It was already sleeping time. And then they didn't know how to. Keep in mind, I'm in the house. Again, we did not know, like it was an orchestrated operation. The DoorDash comes in the front, the camera will know. Plan B. So they had somebody be at the door in the basement, had someone else in the kitchen window to look out in the driveway to spot
The driver, delivery guy.
the driver before he comes in. They had someone, he couldn't go in the front of but they also couldn't open the garage. So then you had someone run up and down to tell the person in the basement, because he can't talk or call or text, I don't know, to run the basement and say, open the door. It was an operation. It happened at around 3 a.m. Aggie. I was in the house, and we were oblivious of what they were doing. I would not have known had I not sat on the table. And they told me this story. I'm sorry. I just, as the mom, I started laughing. I'm like, seriously, boys. I said, do you realize you could have brought someone so dangerous? They're like, oh yeah, we hadn't thought of that. But you
Yeah.
understand, like talk. Then they also realize how they exposed each other and us to danger. But I'm like, you can do this a safe way. That was a dumb thing you did, but in the future, just come and tell me. we just want McDonald's, please. Or even tell me, like, just don't hide because it can become a dangerous hazard very, very quickly. So I look at it from a safety point of view, not because they ordered food at 3 a.m. in the night. But I thought it was funny. It's funny, I opened the door and I found them in the kitchen at the counter. But I was peeping, wondering why there was activity, and they were wearing 90s. And I'm like, and when they saw me, they kind of froze. But as I was closing the door, I closed it so gently and looked at them. And I could see they were like, oh my God, like just expressing, oh my God, she didn't catch us. And I wondered, where are they? Never thought of it and went to bed. And only 2 days later did I find out the story. And then they opened up. When I was accepting of that situation and telling them the danger and stuff, then they started telling me more things. And I was like, wow. And their perceptions on so many things that we, like the way we look at the world and how they look at it differently. So occasionally I have these sporadic little conversations. I don't stage them, they come naturally.
Mm.
The environment. And as a mom, I kind of have learned how to click to talk to them when they are relaxed. And when
Mm.
relaxed, could be around a meal, around their favorite game, around maybe like a social little thing like you go for an ice cream thing. Like you're both relaxed and enjoying that moment. They can open up and tell you all their little things, to the point that sometimes they tell me when they have issues at school, I'm like, you want me to contact them? Like, oh, no, 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 mommy, don't go there. No, no, no. We'll deal with this ourselves. So then I'm also comforted knowing they know how to deal with these things themselves. It's kind of a
Yeah.
glimmer. And being that the world is changing the way it is, I am comforted knowing that hopefully tomorrow they'll make better decisions when they run into these weird situations. I hope that
Yeah.
was okay.
Yes, yes. When I was your son's age, one of the things that used to stress me was people asking me what I want to be when I grow up.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt like, I don't know, like that's such a huge question.
Really
How are
is.
you how
And
how are you navigating that with your children?
like I told you, in hindsight, who in the world knows what they want to be at and anything? 20-year-olds, even when I was 24, I didn't know what I wanted to be. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Is the wrongest question to ask a child at 18. But I can see why people ask. They want to know whether the children are having an emerging interest of what they want to be in life. Do I ask my children what they want to be at their age at 15 and 17? Seriously? No, I don't even bother. Why? Why? They'll figure it out, Aggie. I came to this country with barely anything. Where am I where I am? It's not because I was a genius, but I've learned how to navigate life, and that's the critical thing. If they can figure out how to navigate life, which is why I keep talking to them, they'll be fine. Again, I don't care what they become, Aggie. It's who they become that I'm mostly concerned about.
Hmm.
They're good people. My dad told the same of us. Of course, he came from a generation of you have to be this, you have to be that. But at the end of the day, are you being kind to the people next to you? Are you being nice? And if you are, that niceness and that accommodating aspect of a human being is what pushes people through. I think that's why I'm where I am, Aggie. I came here with $80. I almost said freaking, but hopefully your listeners are open. I came here with only freaking $80. No idea. With a dream, which dream I knew very well that could never be real, like I was literally dreaming, but extremely happy in my poverty, in my nothingness. But I had God. God doesn't give up on me. There is nothing in my life I can explain without God. Absolutely none. I can tell you stories where stuff does not make sense. Oh my God. Okay, that's a car. Stuff does not make sense. And I've told my boys that. And I think it, it has, excuse the noise, give me a second. I think it has been very helpful to them as well. I always tell them, you gotta pray. I said, I can't explain where I am today without knowing God. I can't. There's instances that have happened, and I'm like, how in the world did that happen? How? The how it cannot be explained in a human sense of way. It really can't. So, yes, dream, hope, be good, life will work out. It really does. Even if you
Wow.
stay where you are and stay poor, you'll be happy because you're trying to do things the best way you know how in your environment, in your circumstances. That's okay. That's good. God does not sleep. He will figure it out. You just have to tell him. And I've told this of the boy to the boys. So yeah, and they take it serious because now, when you see a child pray without you in presence, without you being around as a parent and a teenager at that, maybe the point is made. You know,
Yeah.
because they see it, they see the hard facts, and they also don't get it. You know, I said I can't really explain it, Aggie. Let me see a circumstance. You want me to tell you one that is
Yeah,
unexplained?
please. Please.
That you can only explain with that this has to be God. It really, I'll tell you when I'd finished college here in the United States. Had no job. I was an international student. No money. I was getting red notices on the door. My only roommate had moved out east. I was still in California, East Coast, right? And I've always been prayerful. You know that. Went to Maryhill together, you know.
Yeah.
We are Mary's girls, so I would pray to God. And I would pray. I'd just graduated with my second degree. And I'm crazy, kind of. Here's the other thing. Me and God, and Jesus, we have a personal relationship. And when I say personal, I don't even mean in a saved way, Aggie. I mean as in I sit and talk to him literally face to face. I know he's there, but I know I can't see him. But I have this cross that my aunties gave me. So I'd looked for a job for 6 months. I'm not getting money. I'm living on tea and bread. Meanwhile, I've lost weight. I look like a model. My cousins are like, oh my God, you look like a model. I'm like, which model? I'm starving. I never told them that. And then I looked for a job. The job is not coming. One day I went in my front of my cross. I said, but Jesus, you're not fair. You are so not fair. I said, why is everybody getting a job at me? I said, have I done anything wrong to you? No. I pray. You said we pray. I pray. I said, you be good. I be good. I said, what? Why am I not getting a job? I said, that's not nice. You're not being nice right now. And I started crying and went to bed again. Then I started laughing and I told him, by the way, don't hurt me. I'm just mad. And you can understand that I'm mad. That's the kind of personal friendship I'm talking about. You understand? Like, it's not
Yeah.
prayers. Well, I literally have a conversation. I talked to Mother Mary. I'm like, would you want your child to go through what I'm going through? I said, that would be a no. I said, so why are you letting me suffer? Oh my God, Aggie. That was at night at around 9 p.m. I remember I was wearing a t-shirt only. I even remember the color. I don't remember my old clothes, but I remember that night. I was in a yellow t-shirt and I said, don't hurt me. Now let me go to bed. Make sure I wake up because I don't want you to kill me in bed because you're mad at me. I went to bed. I kid you not. Keep in mind, I'd been looking for a job for how many years? More than 6
6
months.
months.
I went to bed. I didn't have a job, so I was just sleeping. At around 11, Aggie, 11 a.m. Actually, no, at around 9. I get a call because I put so many applications everywhere. Didn't even read. This lady goes, hi, are you Lydia? I'm like, yeah. She's like, you think you can come for a job at 11? I'm like, what? No interview. She's like, no interview, no, nothing. I'm like, what? I'm like, of course. I don't even think I had gas in the car. I think my cousin, I don't know. I was in the car at 9 and I'm like, this. I'm like, where? She's like, with the bank. At the time it was Bank of Union Bank of California. In fact, so anyway, I drove and the place was around very near, nice bank. Nice place to start, right? Aggie,
Yeah.
I was like, no interview. She said, no. Resume, no, nothing. You just go start working at 11. I was like, for real? She's like, yeah. I'm like, that is weird. I didn't tell her that. I went in front of the cross and I said, okay, Jesus, you've pulled through. Thank you. You listened. Aggie, explain that to me. Explain that to me. How is it? I did so many interviews. Even McDonald's refused to give me a job. And at 11, I get a job in the bank in a professional place and I don't have to do an interview. By the way, I worked there for 5 years until I left California. It became my career. No
Wow.
interview. No, it gets better. The week I'm there, I know nobody, right? And I'm thinking, how am I going to pay my rent? You have to wait until you earn money. Oh, that. So I'm walking through these women. Someone had told me to take around stuff, and I was giving it to her. Like 2 days later, the first day of work, second, I know nobody, and they're all well dressed. They're professionals. And I go to this lady. Because after I got the job, and then after they called me, I went to my Jesus. I said, thank you for the job. Then 2 days later, I'm like, okay, now how do we get to pay rent? Because they're going to kick me out. I mean, I was on the last bit. I'm like, okay, here's the thing, Jesus. Don't worry. I know it can't come from anywhere. And at least I can pull through this, so you don't have to worry. Fast forward. So I'm walking through this bank. This lady goes, "Hi." I did not know her. Keep that in mind. She said hi in the bank that I had just started working. She said, "Last night I had a dream about you." I said, "You did?" She doesn't know me. No idea. Like, Aggie, she did not know me. Here's the kicker. The next question he asked me is, "Do you have rent?" How the hell do you explain that? 2 days later, after I've come from one town to the other, she's like, "Do you have rent?" And I remember asking her, I'm like, "Are you an angel?" Because I was so baffled. She started laughing. I started crying. I said, "You have to be an angel. This doesn't make sense." And then she said, "I can write you a check." I said, "Oh, that would be great." I said, "If you can write me a $500 check, I can pay my rent." She goes, "I'll give you 700." So she wrote me my first little check of a full rental, including food. A stranger. To this day, I still call her my godmother and my fairy. Come to find out, her husband was a uh, Orthodox priest in Santa Monica, and but to this day, I still can't understand. So it's those kinds of phases that I'm telling you about, that God pops up in the gaps in my life, that I can't explain why I'm where I am without Him. Literally, yeah, that was a
I have
long story.
goosebumps.
But so
I
yes,
have
that's
goosebumps. That was a really beautiful story. Thank you for sharing.
you're welcome.
Oh wow. How do you talk to, I'm still taking it in, yeah? I'll keep taking it in as we go. How have you been able to talk to your boys about sex?
Oh, they ask me and I tell them what it is.
What
I
are
mean,
they asking you?
oh God, very uncomfortable questions about it. The first time actually they asked me was when they're around, they're becoming aware. I think they were in, no, not kindergarten, maybe kindergarten. And I told them everything. I was on the sink because I had like a second to think. Do I tell them that fables or do I lie to them? This country is very complicated in those matters, and there's so many predators and so on and so forth. And I remember thinking, I had to make a decision in less than half a second. How much can I tell them? And Aggie, I sat them on the table and I said, ask, and they asked. And I told them everything. I told them about predators and how to protect themselves from people in their childhood. If you go to a home, do this, when you go for play dates and so on and so forth. And it has never been, because I how do you call it?
Demystify.
Demystified it when they were little. There's nothing they don't tell me. And that critical moment is when God gets in my hand and said, "This is it. Tell them this is it." I mean, it's natural, but because I told them there's nothing secret, really nothing. We've talked about it all. My friends, boys and girls, I tell them everything. Well, not, understand, like I keep it at a comfortable conversational level.
Yeah.
Um, and I've told them they can come to me for anything and everything. There's nothing that cannot be talked or addressed. I mean, it's nothing, literally nothing, Aggie. So whereas me right now, probably asking me this thing from a perspective of it's very uncomfortable and so on and so forth. For me, I've passed that stage. Was it easy? No. But because I jumped over it, it made everything so smooth. Is it easy? No. Do all mothers and fathers find it comfortable? Are you kidding? No. To this day, I don't think I ever had this kind of conversation with my parents. And I'm glad, by the way, we didn't at the time.
Yeah, tell me more.
No, I'm not going to tell you no, but at the time, I mean, there were so many things happening. They protected us. They were able to protect us in the homes that we grew up into. Personally, I didn't ever feel, I was always, kind of able to equip myself. They equipped me with the do's and the don'ts. That was enough for me. But there were not also many dynamic social issues that were controversial. Really, they weren't. But my kids' generation, they have some serious decisions to make.
Yeah.
And that's on them, not me. So how they do that, my job is to tell them what I know. Their job is to figure out the way forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. What has been your favorite moment with your with your kids, like the thing that makes you feel like, wow, motherhood is such a beautiful thing?
Motherhood is a beautiful thing. No, I don't live those fantasies of motherhood is a beautiful thing. It's a job, Aggie. It's a full-time unending job. It's hard. But when they do what they're supposed to do, that makes me very happy. When they do things unexpected that I don't expect, beautiful things, that makes me really happy. I'm like, oh my God, somebody's home. This is incredible. They sometimes surpass my expectations, and that's when I'm like, wow, okay, I didn't see that coming. Especially how they treat people. I've had friends come over, and I had to go. I work in DC, and I live in Delaware, so I gotta like commute, a long commute. But I left my younger son, who is very quiet, and with my friend, and I'm like, I just told him in passing. That wasn't so long ago. I'm like, just make sure she's comfortable, and you won't know it. He woke up, he made pancakes, he put strawberries, and he went and said, anything I can do, Auntie, wake up and eat. And she set him up. He set her up, and she told me, I was like, are you kidding? Are we talking about the same child? I was so confused. But then I was like, okay, those little telltale signs show me that they are ready for the world. Again, it's
Yeah.
not what they become, but who they become. Who they become will determine what they become, what they are capable of doing in their lives. That's my simple belief, and I stand by it.
Yeah.
To me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very beautiful. Lydia, I think I have scratched enough of the surface. This
Yeah.
has been so, so, so beautiful. Thank you, especially for highlighting that intimate relationship with Jesus. I was thinking, what do I need to talk to him about, you know?
Tell him the way it is, and let him do it in his time, because he will. Even not doing it in his time, is doing it in his time for you, because you don't know what may have come down the road that he's protecting you from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been so enriching. I'm 100% sure that a lot of mothers are going to take something away. I think for me, the key takeaways it's not about what you become, but
Mm-hmm.
who you become. I think that's relevant for us as much as it is for the children that we get blessed to raise. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
But that also didn't come yesterday. It takes a long time.
Yeah.
Boats are here.
Yeah, I think we're right on cue to let you go. But you made a statement there that just resonates with why I'm having these conversations, because
Yeah,
if we can sneak peek into other people's lives and learn a thing or two, we can shorten the time
absolutely.
within which we learn. Yeah, yeah,
Everybody has something to offer.
yeah,
Everybody, even the beggar on the corner of the street who's mentally has something to offer. You just have to look for it.
yeah. I
Yeah.
hear you. I hear
All
you.
right, Aggie. So
Thanks
it's a
again for
pleasure.
your time.
And thank you for this wonderful moment. What a special occasion this is. I mean, it's Mother's Weekend. You're here making me talk about these things. This is forever. So I
Yeah.
appreciate talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for
All
being an amazing big sister. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Of course, anytime, Aggie. Bye.
Bye. Take care. Thanks everyone for having stayed on for that conversation. I'm so sure that you picked a few nuggets that are going to help you to do life better. For me, it was the fact that it is not what we become, but who we become that is most important. And that just resonates with the values of this channel. And so I hope that you are giving thought to, intentionally becoming a good person, a kind person, a respectful person, because at the end of the day, that's what really turns the world around. Thank you so much for having joined me for this episode. God bless you and catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.